ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
A stunning move ends last-ditch efforts for economic relief as the country's top military leaders head into quarantine. Two Democrats neck and neck in the push to lead America's 8th largest city. A closer look at the candidates in the race for mayor. Plus, a new hurdle for San Diego County before more businesses can reopen. President Trump calls off stimulus negotiations until after the election, putting hopes of economic relief for now on hold. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kimberly Hunt. In the meantime, anxiety is growing among White House staffers as the COVID-19 outbreak spreads. The Coast Guard Vice Commandant tested positive. All of the military's Joint Chiefs of Staff are in self-quarantine. And today, President Trump said he is rejecting a $2.4 trillion stimulus proposal by the House that sent the stock market into a dive. The Dow lost 370 points, the S&P 500 tumbled 1.4%, and the NASDAQ finished down 1.6%. And as ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reports, the president claims the economy is doing well.
The coronavirus spreading further across the government, the Vice Commandant of the Coast Guard, the latest to reveal he has tested positive. He was at the White House as recently as 10 days ago and is now in quarantine. Nearly all of the Joint Chiefs of Staff are also self-quarantining as a precaution. The news coming amid a COVID outbreak within the White House, starting all the way at the top with President Trump. At least 20 people who were near or around the president last week have now tested positive. And yet Trump is once again minimizing the threat of the virus to the public. The president falsely claiming COVID is no more deadly than the seasonal flu. That post getting flagged by Twitter as untrue and taken down by Facebook. Trump also tweeting he won't negotiate another coronavirus stimulus package until after the election, claiming the economy is doing very well. More than 210,000 Americans have died from COVID-19, and cases are now rising in 32 states, while nearly 11 million Americans remain out of work since February. But President Trump delivering this message in a promotional video.
Don't let it dominate you. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. We have the best medicines.
In reality, the president received medical care inaccessible to most Americans, and he was sick enough to be twice placed on supplemental oxygen, was provided experimental drugs that aren't FDA approved for COVID, and received a steroid usually reserved for severely or critically ill patients. Today, the White House physician, who initially falsely claimed Trump had not received supplemental oxygen, now says the president is reporting no symptoms and that his vitals are stable. The White House turning the dramatic moment when President Trump returned from Walter Reed Medical Center and ripped off his mask into a highly produced campaign video. But Joe Biden releasing this social media video in response and underlining the importance of masks during an NBC town hall.
Now, what is this macho thing? I'm not going to wear a mask. What's the deal here? Big deal. Does it hurt you? Be patriotic, for God's sake.
President Trump, who's trailing Biden by 16 points in a new CNN SSRS poll, is eager to shift the conversation away from his health and back to the campaign. President Trump tweeting today he will attend next week's presidential debate in Miami. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
And the White House turned down offers from the CDC for help with contact tracing. A spokesperson for the administration said the White House is using a, quote, robust contact tracing program led by the White House Medical Unit. Meantime, President Trump's comments since testing positive for COVID have left some survivors frustrated. ABC 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena spoke to San Diego residents who have experienced the disease firsthand to get their reaction.
Nick Hernandez, his two kids and wife were all diagnosed with COVID earlier this summer, but it was his wife who ended up spending weeks in the ICU.
But that was scary. I thought we were going to lose her.
He says she actually received some of the same treatments President Trump did.
But she was in the research program, and she did get better, right? But they didn't give her to her right away. It was like close to when things started getting really bad.
Hernandez says he's been watching what the president has been saying and doing since he was diagnosed with COVID. At one point, tweeting, "Don't be afraid of COVID, don't let it dominate your life," and leaving Walter Reed Medical Center over the weekend to wave to supporters.
he's exposing them, right? So that doesn't seem right.
The daughter of a retired CHP officer who died earlier this month from COVID had a stronger reaction.
I think it's a slap in the face to all of those who either are suffering from it, have suffered from it, or have lost loved ones. When I saw the tweet, I was just in shock and enraged, even though he has said several things that are ignorant. But I just think it is the most insensitive thing coming from the guy with the most important job in the country.
Both families just want to get the message out there that people should take COVID and the related health precautions very seriously.
The truth is, this is very serious. Obviously, if you've gotten sick the way my wife gotten sick.
Lindsay Pena, ABC 10 News.
And Hernandez's wife is out of the hospital but still not fully recovered. Follow ABC 10 News as we track the outbreak in Washington. You can have breaking news alerts sent right to your phone with the ABC 10 News mobile app. The race to become San Diego's next mayor appears to be in a dead heat. Our ABC 10 News Union Tribune scientific poll shows Todd Gloria leading Barbara Bree, but just by 1 percentage point. ABC 10 News reporter John Horn explains how the tight race could separate.
State Assemblyman Todd Gloria took home the most votes by far in the March primary, while Barbara Bree barely made it through to the November runoff. Now it appears it's anyone's race.
The two Democrats are neck and neck in the push to lead America's 8th largest city. Our new ABC 10 News Union Tribune poll shows Bree and Gloria separated by a single percentage point, a virtual tie within the margin of error.
There are different shades of blue within this city, and this mayoral race is all about deciding what kind of Democrat San Diego will be governed by.
While both are Democrats, the poll shows Bree is earning the bulk of her support from Republicans and independents, possibly those who voted for Republican Scott Sherman in the primary. Bree beat him by a mere 1,100 votes to face Gloria in the top 2 November runoff.
Barbara Bree is talking about neighborhood issues and slowing down the growth of San Diego, whereas Todd Gloria is talking about addressing housing and doing some growth. So again, that finds a political divide over growth.
The race continues to be tight. Just a month ago, our polling showed Bree beating Gloria by 3 percentage points, also within the margin of error. UC San Diego political scientist Thad Kauser says one way it could separate is if major interest groups spend big money on behalf of a candidate, which he says could happen for Gloria via labor or the Chamber of Commerce. John Horn, ABC 10 News.
The scientific poll surveyed 547 likely voters and was conducted from October 1st to October 5th. Tonight, after Game 4 of the NBA Finals, we will speak to political expert Dr. Kira Green about those results. And don't forget, the deadline to register to vote is October 19th. Your registration must be postmarked by that date. After that, you can only vote conditionally. In-person voting begins October 31st, and Election Day is November 3rd. You can find more information on 10news.com. Now to the county's battle against the coronavirus. Today, we learned San Diego will stay in the state's red tier for now. As ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco shows us, now there's a new metric the county has to meet before more businesses can reopen.
A long line of cars wrapped through the parking lot of the South Chula Vista Library. The county's new COVID-19 drive-up testing site is the latest attempt to fight the virus in the hard-hit South Bay.
About 34% of our county population is Latino, but about 66% of the cases. And so we saw that early on.
The county now has another criteria to meet before more businesses can reopen. It's called California's new health equity metric. State health officials say the goal is to reduce high infection rates in disadvantaged communities.
So it's not just the test positivity. That's the piece that helps counties either move forward or slows them down in moving through the tier system. But we're working with counties on a broader strategy to focus on equity.
The new metric affects counties with more than 106,000 people. They'll be divided into 4 regions based on income, education, and other information from the census. The test positivity rate within the lowest section must not significantly lag behind its overall county test positivity rate.
If our communities of color are still seeing a disproportionate impact from COVID-19, then it is something that should affect the entire region.
Some fear this will be another hurdle to reopening. County Supervisor Jim Desmond says if the governor wants to help poor communities, let them go back to work.
I think it's really ironic the fact the governor keeps their businesses and those lower income folks out of jobs, and now he wants a metric to make sure we're taking care of them. We will take care of anybody that has the virus.
State health officials say the new metric can't push a county back into a stricter tier, but can slow it down from moving forward. Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
More than half of the county's testing sites are now in the South Bay. California is the first state to require an equity metric. Today, there are 161 new cases of COVID-19 in the county, none coming from SDSU, and that brings the total to 48,821. 3 new deaths were reported, the death toll now 806. New at 4 o'clock, the player who used a homophobic slur against a member of the San Diego Loyal was suspended. This was the heated confrontation between the coaches shortly after the incident happened last week. The Loyal walked off the field after Phoenix Rising FC player Junior Flemings used the slur against San Diego player Colin Martin. The league is suspending Flemings for the rest of the season. He'll also pay a fine and receive sensitivity training. Today, the music world is mourning the loss of rock and roll legend and legendary guitarist Eddie Van Halen. He passed away after a long fight with cancer. Van Halen was hailed as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. His signature two-handed tapping technique is known all over the world. He released over a dozen albums over 4 decades, and he eventually acquired his own guitar line based on the instrument he designed and built himself. Eddie Van Halen was 65 years old.